Good evening, everyone. Tonight I am joining you with a recorded message because I have a meeting with the Hebrew Kadisha at 7:30. So welcome again to the amazing Zoomzits that has been hosted by Arnold Garber for the last 16, 17 months. And I'm really sorry I can't be with you tonight because I have to tell you that it has been one of the highlights of the week every week for the last 16 months, amongst all of the loss and the sadness and the challenges that we've all faced on a weekly basis. The one oasis and the constant oasis during the week has been the Zoomzits. So I'll really miss you tonight, and I wish you all a good Shabbos. And I would like to thank very much Rabbi Aaron Zolberg for joining the Zoomzits tonight, and what an incredibly capable replacement he is. And I've got no doubt he'll give you a very inspirational Dvar Torah tonight. Once again, thank you to Arnold for hosting. Thank you to Estelle for the incredible newsletter as usual. And thank you to all of you for participating. And I wish you all a wonderful Zoomzits, another oasis during the week, and a wonderful, peaceful, relaxing, and inspirational Shabbos. All the best and enjoy.
Shalom from Jerusalem. Here we are. We have the Knesset on the one side, we have the Holy Land over there, and beautiful Jerusalem in the background. So this has been quite an eventful week in Israel, that the coalition unity government has survived its first week. There was a no confidence vote which passed, and we just want to give them a chance to have that the government should succeed. Something really quite interesting is that the government did pass that they're going to have an investigation into the cause, and that it won't happen again with what happened in Meiron, where unfortunately it's been the largest civil disaster in the state of Israel, where 45 innocent people lost their lives. So they want to look at the causes and to prevent any future disasters from happening. So 6 million shekels has been designated. Victor Lieberman, who's the finance minister, signed off on this commission that will be appointed. What's also quite interesting on the diplomatic front is that ambassadors whose positions were frozen because there wasn't a functional government, they've been appointed now, so at least Israel's voice in the world can be heard better, which is so important. And a very positive step is that Yair Lapid, who's now the foreign minister, will be making a trip to the UAE. That will be the first official trip to the UAE. Also, what's quite important is that the UAE are going to be opening offices for R24 in the UAE, which will be quite interesting, because now they're going to be reporting on the ground in the UAE, where so much is happening. And the very first student from the UAE was admitted to the IDC in Herzliya. So that really is quite remarkable. I'm actually not going to be here on Thursday night when you're having the Zoomzits, because I've been invited to Shalva. It's a wonderful organization. They've asked me to attend. I don't know if you remember Harold Nussbaum, his daughter's involved with Shalva, so I just couldn't refuse the invitation. So I'm just doing this news report from Yerushalayim, which may be even better. And now for the good news coming from Israel. So on Monday, the Jerusalem Post ran with this amazing story. German media giant, if you ain't Israel, don't work for us. So the media giant, which is founded in Germany in 1946, which is called Axel Springer, it was founded, and the CEO is Matthias Erdöffner, and he told the company's 16,000 employees that if you are uncomfortable that we put the Israeli flag prominently displayed to show our commitment to combat anti-Semitism, then this is not the place that you should be working at. And his company, it's a Berlin-based, and it's the largest digital publisher in Europe. It owns Bild, Die Welt, Business Insider, Politico Europe, and many other news brands, as well as Israel's largest classified ads website, Yad Sheni. And it's really quite an amazing article. And I was very fortunate to interview a Holocaust survivor. Her name is Shani Miller. She wrote this book called Shani's Diary, and it was her story was published in the German paper Bild, and which we'll show you a video clip of it. It has 3 pages, very large pages in color, and this book, Shani's Diary, has a South African connection because it was translated into English by Faye Heller, who's Ezra Altshuler's sister, and Jenny Altshuler in Cape Town. And they translated Shani's Diary into English, which is a phenomenal book. So a really, really amazing story that people are proud to support Israel. We do have friends out there. We just need to cultivate them and appreciate them. Shani, this was in the newspaper Bild in Germany. In and then this was in the front.
Sie war 14 Jahre und schreibt Tagebuch dort in eine אחד יש להם מי שכתב אין בעולם שמי שכתב שמה. אני כתבתי את זה לפני 75 שנים.
You wrote it after
75 שנים.
Before 75 years.
כן, כן.
Wow. Unbelievable. Shani, this is unbelievable. Really, and this was, and when was this published? This was in 22nd of January 1920. It's a year ago. לפני שנה, 1 year ago.
זה בדיוק שנה היה.
Wow.
אבל עכשיו היה, שנה הזה, לפני 3 שבועות, צלצלו לי, שעוד פעם הוציאו.
Oh, so they phoned and they said they're going to do it again. That's amazing, Shani. Thank you so much.
זה הספר, זה יהיה בבית ספר.
It's going to be in the schools.
יהיה צורך ללמוד היסטוריה.
To learn the history. And that's Shani's diary. Wow. The breaking news that we just heard is that Israel has developed, it sounds like Star Wars, but they've developed lasers that can actually penetrate drones and destroy drones and rockets. So the Iron Dome, each missile that is sent over and the Iron Dome intercepts costs thousands of dollars. And these lasers, it's very inexpensive. So this is the latest news, and it's going to be really a game changer because unfortunately from Gaza they're sending these cheap drones which have a lot of explosives on and can cause tremendous damage. And this is a way to combat that. So Israel's always one step ahead. We're not so 100%, even though it's amazing that I came into town today on the bus, on the train. I still wore my mask, but maybe there were 2 or 3 of us. The rest of the people aren't wearing the mask. You go into town, you don't really see a mask. It's really quite surreal because to think that for a year and a half we were all wearing masks. But there has been a few cases that children have been detected positive with the corona. They think it's from the Indian strain. So we have to have our guard on, and we can't be complacent. And we just wish you guys in South Africa and all over the world that it comes to an end, and that we can live a normal life, and you can go into town and you can see people normally walking around enjoying their lives as it was before the corona outbreak. So I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and we should only have good news and love from Israel. Bye.
To learn together with you. I'm humbled to be able to learn with each one of you. And even though he's not present, to acknowledge Rabbi Fox, who's a wonderful, wonderful rabbi. And I hope that you pass on the message to him.
He'll be watching the recording.
Okay. So as Rabbi Azrael mentioned, many of the shuls are closed. Some shuls are open. I think the shul in Sandringham Gardens itself is open. Am I correct, Rabbi Azrael?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it is
But
open.
most of the people in this group are from Golden Acres. So they don't have access to the Sandringham Garden Shul.
Yeah. So challenging times, and the shuls are not open, schools are closed, and people are staying indoors as much as possible. Many people not even going to the shops or not going to work, working from home, doing whatever one can without leaving one's house. There's a lot of limitations. There's a lot of limitations in our current reality. I want to share with you something that perhaps you've been shared with before. It comes from a book called Choreb. It's back to front there. I'm not sure how to show you, but that's what it looks like. Called Choreb, written by Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, a rabbi from Germany, from Frankfurt, very special individual. It's a book on the classification of the mitzvahs. And in the introduction to this book called Choreb, they quote from a letter that he wrote. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of context, a little bit of a background to this letter that Rav Hirsch wrote. The context was a time when orthodoxy in Germany was being challenged not only by the reform movement, but by the government itself. And the government itself at the time was legislating how we were to be observant, how we were to practice our Judaism. And one of the great sources of challenge with regards to how the government dictated to us how we should live our lives as Jews was the Reform shuls. For the Reform shuls dictated what observance was, at least in their congregations, and the government at the time was looking at their congregations as a lesson regarding what is to be defined as observance. In any event, you've got major politics within Jewish community, Reform shuls versus Orthodox shuls, community versus community, with government involvement. And listen to what Rav Hirsch writes. It's an amazing, amazing letter, which I don't believe for a moment he actually meant literally. Rather, he was sharing a hypothetical with the hope that we would learn the lesson without this ever needing to be done. Listen to what he says. He says like this, and I quote and I'll paraphrase along the way as well. He's discussing this concept that is called prayer, and he's talking about prayer in the house of God. So he says like this, in an attempt to assimilate Judaism to the dominant faith, the German Jewish reformers of the last century introduced the idea into modern life and modern Jewish thought that worshiping God in the synagogue is the central point in Jewish life. Whereas in reality, the law of the Torah should permeate the rule of the whole life. Full stop. What is Rav Hirsch saying? People have become accustomed to the reality is that where are you most observant? When you go to shul. Where is the central focus of a Torah Jew's life? In shul. But he says that's not the way it should be. The way it should be is that Torah and mitzvahs and what it means to be a Jew, to be a mensch, should permeate your whole existence. Whether you're in shul, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, whether you're on holiday, wherever you may be. Judaism is meant to go right through you. And against this fundamental error of localizing God in the house of worship, instead of allowing him to become a central force in our life, Rav Hirsch writes the following: if I had the power, I would provisionally close all shuls for 100 years. And he writes, do not tremble at the thought of it, Jewish hearts. What would happen? Jews and Jewesses without synagogues, desiring to remain as such, would be forced to concentrate on Jewish life and a Jewish home. And the Jewish officials connected with the synagogue would have to look to the only opportunity now open to them to teach young and old how to live a Jewish life and how to build a Jewish home. You know, an amazing lesson he's teaching. He's actually teaching about one of the downsides of a shul. Now, who in their right mind want to teach about the downsides of a shul? But in his environment and in his generation, it was appropriate because people were missing the point. People were putting all of the focus into going to shul and forgetting that shul is only one of the tremendous tools that are at our disposal. One of the very many tremendous tools that are at our disposal to connect to God and to develop ourselves, to be better people as a result. So he says an amazing, most ambitious statement. He says if he could, he would close them all down so that everyone could remind themselves of what is really important. And when we would remind ourselves of what is really important, maybe we would appreciate the shul as well fundamentally differently. It's interesting to note that obviously here, Chas v'Chalila, does one want to say that the shuls are closed because we want to teach anyone a lesson. But it is interesting to note, and it's a food for thought, that the Ribbono Shel Olam, the master of the world, feels it's appropriate to close shuls for a time period. Feels it's appropriate for whatever the reason is, the shuls should be closed. And we got to ask ourselves the question, what can we learn from this? What can we learn from this? That this is a reality of the Jewish people. And perhaps one of the things we can learn from this is that in truth, it ain't only about shul. It's about every single moment, and it's about many different tools that have been afforded to us to connect to God. And sometimes we lose sight of it. As we say in the classics, it's easy to be frum in shul. In shul, to be religious is relatively easy. Outside of shul, a little bit harder. When there's no shul to go to and you want to remain connected, you got to bring it home with you. You got to make shul inside of your home. You got to make shul inside of your dining room. You got to have a base medrash in your lounge. You got to have a brocha room in your dining room. You got to bring the shul into your house. You got to make it real. You can no longer say, you know what, when I'm at shul, I'm going to be, so to speak, observant. And the rest of the time, I'll get on with whatever I need to get on. Now, if you really want to remain connected, you got to find an innovative way to really bring it home, to make it real, to let it go through you, to let it affect you, to let it be a part of your life. So again, to reiterate, Chas v'Chalila, God forbid, do I want to say that it is ideal that the shuls are closed? It's not ideal at all. And please God, we're able to open them very, very soon. It should be noted as well, for the record, I'll say it, that amongst all the many places that a person can go in this current reality outside of your own home, the truth is that most shuls, I can't speak for all, but most shuls are actually up there on the list of safe places to go to. There are a lot of other places that are still open, that are much less safe. That being said, a shul, a house of God that represents the Torah and mitzvahs and a Torah way of life, it is appropriate on a certain level that on occasion it needs to close if that is what is called for. Perhaps as a lesson to all of us to really take the situation seriously. But the lesson we can really learn from this closing of the shuls, even if it is for a brief period in time, is think about life in general, think about what a shul really is there for, and to remind ourselves that in truth, we've got to bring it home. Even when we're able to go to shul in a safe way, even when we're able to leave our homes in a safe way, able to go back to the shops, able to go to work, able to go for a walk, able to socialize with other people. Please God, be mayor of your mainu. Soon we're able to do it once again. And we're able to do so, to remember, to appreciate that you got to bring it home. You got to bring it home. That's what Torah is actually about. So food for thought in relation to the current opportunity that life has afforded us. A tremendous opportunity. Most difficult and most challenging, but a tremendous opportunity. You know, in Sefer Devarim, the book of Devarim, Perek Lamed Daled, chapter 34, the Torah relates to the personality, or one of the personalities of this week's parsha. This week's Torah portion is referred to as Balak, and one of the personalities of the parsha is Bilam ben Beor. Bilam, the prophet of Balak, the prophet of the non-Jews, the wicked Bilam, who has the most unbelievable gift, a gift of prophecy, and not just any gift of prophecy. Listen to the verse. The verse says in Devarim Lamed Daled 34, Pasuk Yud, verse 10, Pasuk says, Loikom novi od Israel kamoshe asher yedu Hashem ponim el ponim. Never again did there rise in Israel a prophet like Moshe Rabbeinu, like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. You know what the Torah is teaching us? There's never been a prophet like Moshe Rabbeinu. There's never been a Navi like Moshe Rabbeinu. This is something completely different. You know what Chazal say on this word? Listen on these words. Chazal teach us in the Yalkut Shimoni and Midrash, the Yisrael loikom. In the Jewish people, there's never been another prophet like Moshe. But with regards to the nations of the world, come. There is in fact a prophet like Moses. And who is the prophet that can be compared to Moshe Rabbeinu? Bilam ben Beor. Bilam Arasha, the wicked Bilam, can be compared to Moshe Rabbeinu. The Mefurish Medrash, explicit in Chazal, based upon this pasuk that is in Devarim, that this personality that we have in this week's Torah portion, this wicked individual by the name of Bilam, is comparable to none other than Moshe Rabbeinu. You know what the rationale behind this is? It's really simple. You know that what we have at our disposal, you and me, each of us, what we have at our disposal has implications regarding our responsibilities. If we've got a Moshe Rabbeinu, if we had a Moshe Rabbeinu, so then ultimately others could say, you know why you accomplished so much? You know why you are in the state that you're in? Because you had a Moshe Rabbeinu. You have a Moshe Rabbeinu. But what happens if you don't have a Moshe Rabbeinu? What happens if you never had a Moshe Rabbeinu? What happens if you never had the influence of such a beautiful teacher as Moshe, our teacher? So a big difference. So Chazal say, what happens when the nations of the world will say to God, they'll say to the Jewish people, you know why you guys have accomplished so much throughout the ages? Because you were blessed once upon a time to have a teacher like Moshe Rabbeinu. You were blessed with unbelievable Nevi'im, prophets and teachers and leaders. We, the non-Jews of the world, they would say, we never had a Moshe Rabbeinu. So you know what God did and what God does? He gives them as well. And he gave them Bilam ben Beor. He gave them the wicked Bilam. You know what that means? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. You know what it means? It means that in potential, at least, Bilam and Moshe are equal. It means that the same capacity for prophecy that Moshe Rabbeinu had, so too Bilam Harosha had. Now I add in the word potential. You know why in potential? Because in action, you cannot compare Bilam and Moshe. In action, you cannot compare the wicked Bilam to Moses. They may have had the same potential. They may have been gifted with the same prophecy, the same prophetic abilities, but the personalities cannot be compared. In what way is there a difference between Bilam and Moshe? Well, there are many ways, but I'll tell you one way. One difference between Bilam and Moshe. You know what the difference is? That Bilam let the prophecy bounce off him, so to speak. He received the prophecy from God and he shared it on him and off him, in through one ear and out through the other. You know the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu? The difference? The prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu went through him. It changed him. It didn't go through one ear and out the other. The prophecy of Bilam, through one ear and out the other, no internalization, no bringing it home, so to speak. The prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, Chazal teach, it went through him. He brought it home. Every single time he had a prophetic vision, it was something that was so emotional. It was something that was so alive. It wasn't just purely that he's going to give a speech and speak eloquently the words of God. Moshe Rabbeinu felt the words of God. You had the difference? The real difference in action, and it speaks volumes about the different personalities that is Bilam versus Moshe, that is Moshe versus Bilam. Moshe lived his life in a way that was so empathetic, in a way that really was able to absorb all that he experienced, to absorb it, to let it go through him, to bring it home, and to utilize it to do more good, to be better, to do more kindness, to be more kind. Constantly and always in any given moment. Whereas in the case of Bilam, opportunity he had, but in through one ear and out through the other. No change to the personality that was Bilam before the prophecy and after the prophecy. No bringing home of the idea. I'll conclude with the following story. A story I shared earlier and a share that I give daily on the topic of davening. Currently, we're learning about a very beautiful tefillah called the Nishmas. Tefillah, it's referred to by the sages as Birkat Hashir. We say it every single Shabbos and Yom Tov just before we begin the brachos of Shema at the end of the Pesukei de Zimra. The story I shared is a story that is brought in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, founder of Hasidus. And the story goes, the Baal Shem Tov shares of a king who's traveling in a carriage. And they're traveling down a road and the path is muddy and the carriage gets stuck in the mud. And the king can't get out of the mud. And his servants get off the carriage and they can't get the carriage out of the mud. What do they see? On the side of the road, there's a hut over there. Person lives there next to the muddy road. So they go to the person, they ask him for his assistance. The individual comes back to the road and he's able to help the king. He's able to get the carriage out of the mud and the carriage is able to get back to the palace. Upon the king's arrival at his palace, he says he's got to give something to the man who lives in the hut by the road. So he takes out a beautiful candelabra and he sends it to the peasant living in the hut next to the road. A year later, the king is traveling on the same road. This time he doesn't get stuck in the mud, but he goes past the house and he thinks to himself, you know what, I've got to say thank you. I've got to say hello to the man who helped me last year get out of the mud. So he goes to the individual's house, he goes to the peasant's house and he walks through the door and the peasant sees the king. He sees the king has arrived in his hut. And he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed because he says, what can I do for the king? I got the king in my home. What can I offer him? What can I offer him to eat? What can I offer him to drink? What can I offer him to sit on? What do I have? I'm a peasant, said the hut owner to the king. And you know what the king said to the peasant? What did the king say to the peasant? He actually didn't say anything. You know what the peasant said to the king? I have an idea. And the peasant goes back to the back to his room and he comes back out and he brings with him the gift that the king had given him a year earlier. He brings with him the most beautiful candelabra that the king himself had gifted him with. And he took this candelabra and he put it down on the table in front of the king. And he said, I may not have anything to offer you other than what you have given me, but that which you have given me, I'm going to utilize to honor you, said the peasant to the king. And this is the lesson this is a parable that the Baal Shem Tov teaches. You know what the lesson of the parable is? Often we don't get the luxury of choosing the tools to serve God. Often we don't get the luxury to be able to choose the way even we want to serve God. But I'll tell you what, God has afforded you and I and each of us a tremendous opportunity to serve him. God has afforded you and I and each of us a tremendous opportunity. Another day to look around and appreciate the beautiful world. Another day to look around and appreciate one another, even if it is on Zoom and we can't necessarily celebrate in person. But just think even about Zoom for a moment. I want to just dramatize this point. I'm sure you heard this by many, but I'll say it again because it's most worthy in relation to this idea that I want to share this evening. You know, you think about the internet, you think about Zoom. So we appreciated it before the pandemic. We appreciated it, we used it. Can you imagine the last year and a half if we didn't have Zoom? I'm going to say Chatz Chalila. If we didn't have the internet, if we didn't have WhatsApp, if we didn't have the technology that we have quite literally at the tips of our fingers today. Baruch Hashem, look at this opportunity that we're able to be in our own homes. We're able to be safe, even if it is beyond challenging, but we're able to still be together, apart but together. We have at our disposal what we have at our disposal. Not always so great, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us a candelabra. We just got to be able to identify what the candelabra is, take it out of storage and put it down on the dining room table inside of our homes. Bring it home and say to Hashem, thank you for the opportunity. Let the Torah, let mitzvahs, let life itself enter our being. Let it change who we are. Let it better us. Let us allow it to better us. Let it not just pass through one ear and go out the other. As I've said a couple of times, and I'll say it one last time, let us bring it home, bring it into the essence of our lives. To conclude, once again, I want to say a very big thank you to Rabbi Azriel, Mr. Garber, greatly appreciated. I want to say a thank you to Rabbi Fox for the opportunity. But perhaps in closing, I want to say a very big thank you to each and every single one of you that you've afforded me this opportunity to share a Dvar Torah on the parasha, to share some Torah thoughts just in general. But to be able to learn together with each one of you has been something very, very special, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you very, very much. A very good Erev Shabbos. I wish you a beautiful Shabbos ahead, and I look forward to the day. I look forward to the day very, very soon. As I said earlier, very, very soon in our days that we're able to socialize face to face. We're gonna have a great party. I have no doubt. We're gonna ask Rabbi Azriel. We're gonna start planning it. We're gonna have the greatest party together. And I look forward to that Zoomzits in person to celebrate the oncoming of what will please God be a most magnificent Shabbos Kodesh. A good Erev Shabbos to everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rabbi Zulberg. And I just want to tell you that the shul, talk about the shuls. The shul of Sandringham Gardens is so special. First of all, not only that it's still functioning, but you know that they're saying Kaddish. I don't know whether somebody can verify what I'm saying, but it's, I think, to something like over 1,000 people are being said Kaddish for, and many that are we say Refuah Shleima so many times, and also there have been a number since the pandemic started. I don't know exactly, but there have been baby girls named at Sandringham Garden Shul when the parents were in Montevideo, Uruguay, and in Canada and in England. And so it's a very special shul. And Zoom, of course, is so special because it gives the opportunity to bring people, not only to bring us together from home, but to bring people all over the world. I want to say a very special welcome to Dr. Mervyn Druin, who's in London there. And hello, Mervyn, how are you doing? Mervyn, who's in London and who's the brother of our very hello Mervyn, and a brother of our very, very good friend and great orator and entertainer. We're going to have you soon again, Joel Druin is there sitting on my screen. They're next to one another. I don't know on your screen where they are. So anyway, thank you. And one of the things about shul is that there's simcha, there's people singing, and you spoke about Pesukei de Zimra. Now we have got our Kohen Gadol, who is our specialist in Pesukei de Zimra, because he sings it with joy, with simcha. And so I'm going to ask now Jeff Allen to give us his Pesukei de Zimra as the last item of the night tonight. Jeff, over to you. You're still muted, Jeff. Unmute. Unmute, Jeff. Okay, let me try and see whether I can unmute you. I think I've just unmuted.
Here we go. Firstly, hi, everybody. It's so lovely to be with you again. And I just wanted to say how wonderful it was listening to Rob Aaron. He's not only a person that talks the talk, but he walks the walk. He's a mensch outside and inside, and we have been very, very blessed to have you on the program in order to inspire every one of us. This evening, I thought I may do a little bit different, something different in terms of that. As we were talking about Bilam is our arch enemy, the person wanted to destroy us. He was the person that would do anything. He was a hired gun. Anyone who wanted his services could pay him, and he's a hired gun, especially if it was to curse the Jewish people. But we know what happened. He blessed the Jewish people. God made sure of that. And then he tried again to curse us. They went up a mountain with the king and looked over, and he saw the tents of the Jewish people. And what did he do? He was blown away. He was blown away. The sneers, how the tents were set up. What a people that was there. Until this day, we quote Bilam in our services. When we come into shul, we quote Bilam. What a thing to quote our arch enemy. Because if your arch enemy blesses you, you must know it's a wonderful blessing to receive. And I wrote a little nigun. I'll only do a couple of verses of it, and I'll go into a Shabbos. It goes. Ma toivu, Olechoy Yaakov, Mishkanoi Secho Yisrael. Ma toivu, Olechoy Yaakov, Mishkanoi Secho Yisrael. Vani V'chastecho avoy v'sechoy matoivu alecho Yaakov mishkanoi secho Yisrael matoivu alecho Yaakov mishkanoi secho Yisrael. And what's Shabbos about? Peace. That's what it's about. That's who we are. That's who we are amongst each other. And that's what we want for the world. We are probably the only people that want peace in the world. No one else wants it. They thrive. They thrive on animosity. They thrive on vengeance. What do we thrive on? Love and shalom. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Sharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Makadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Sharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Makadosh Baruch Hu. Hey, Malachem Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Makadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Ami Melech, Malachei Makadosh Baruch Hu. Oh, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Bom Bom Bom, Mi Melech, Malachei Makadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Ami Melech, Malachei Makadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbos.
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for bringing us a little bit of the spirit that we had at the shul when it was all going live. Anyway, we finish off. The hour is late. We finish off. We always finish off with a bracha from a kohen, and we have two kohanim in our group here, and the other one that we have besides our Kohen Gadol Jeff Allen is Anthony Furman, who is connected under the name of Ivar Sosnovic, but I know it's Anthony. Anthony, so give us the Kohen bracha to finish off.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I wish you a good evening. And the Kohen bracha by me is Yevarechecha Adonai Vishmerecha, Yair Adonai Panav Elecha Vichunecha, Yisa Adonai Panav Elecha V'Yasem Lecha Shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep.
Go ahead. Go.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord grant you peace and happiness. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you,
much.
Kohanim.
Thanks very much for letting me do it.
Thank you, all the Kohanim. Thank you, everybody. And we wish you a good Shabbos. And we see you next Thursday again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.